Alright guys, I'm going to look over a few crypto charts that people have been asking about here with a lot of the consolidation, and I know people are freaking out a little bit because you're seeing slight pullbacks on some of the crypto projects right now. That being said, I'm not stressing at all, and y'all have seen that I have considerable holdings in crypto and I've been in since 2017. So you can't really get upset or sad whenever you see like a 10 to 20% pullback here whenever we just saw over the last 2 weeks a 160% give or take move on Doge, for instance. So I'm gonna walk through several crypto charts really quick and then get this video out there for you guys so that you have it for reference. Some of you are following the alerts and whatnot for Doge and many other cryptos over on the Discords, whether that's the Ethical Trading Discord or Bullish Raid Discord or any of the other Discords that I've been posting and sharing some of this info, as well as the Twitter. But just going to stick to the charts for a minute, kind of go through some stuff. So you can see here on Doge, for instance, we still very much have a beautiful bull flag setup going on here with the short-term measured move. If we break out above this resistance level, puts us around that 57-cent mark. That being said, I am being cautious here as well. For those of you that weren't in Doge back in 2021, I shared some of the screenshots this weekend over in the lounge because like I was in Doge back here, right? So I bought a considerable amount here, and no, I didn't sell off all my Doge up here in this high range with the Saturday Night Live pump. For those that weren't aware though, this right here was back when we had the pump for Saturday Night Live when Elon Musk was talking about Dogecoin on that, and then we saw this hard sell-off, so sell the news occurred with that situation. That being said, Doge is still a promising project right now for this year from a meme coin standpoint. It's also relatively cheap, and retail traders love to own a lot of something rather than a fractional percentage of a single Bitcoin, for instance. So Doge is one to keep an eye on. Transactional price, everything like that is pretty good when it comes to Doge, and also Shiba Inu is kind of in the same situation as well because of the sympathy. They are both meme coins. That being said, they're cheap from a transaction standpoint. They do serve some utility and function as well, but they're going to have a bit different value criteria as compared to something like Solana, for instance. So purely from a technical standpoint, looking at Doge, because you can see here that these lines most certainly do get respected. So from a technical standpoint, while people can feel like crypto doesn't follow technicals, that it's all purely emotion, that's simply not true. I can tell you that as someone that has actively invested, traded, and even mined crypto over the last 7 years now, I guess. So just want to be clear on that as I'm looking at the Doge chart as well as any other charts, that technicals do indeed matter. And from a simplistic standpoint, you could look at it from a supply and demand zone, price action, trading type viewpoint, because when you get into these levels that I'm going to call resistance, which is where price tends to reject, or support where price tends to bounce, that is because you have supply and demand zones there where you have either sellers or buyers. And I can do a whole separate video on that. That being said, the goal of this video is to do a relatively quick walkthrough of several different crypto charts, but I wanted to preface it while talking through Doge so that it makes sense on the rest of the video without me going into great detail on sort of the why. So to dive in, you've got Doge here with this beautiful breakout, retest, and bounce of that downtrend on the shorter time frame. I'm going to jump back over here to our current movement that we've had with the current beginning of the bull run. And note that I did say beginning of the bull run. For those of you that weren't in crypto in 2020 and 2021, this party is just now getting started on a lot of these cryptos. Bitcoin is going to continue to run. It needs some retracement and pullback, which is similar to what we're seeing on Doge here. But really what I'm watching here is, can we hold this support around that 34 cent, which is more specifically 33.984 cent mark? You can see that support range is holding true. Honestly, I would even be cool with seeing some kind of pullback here to this minor support here around the 32 mark. But ultimately, anything in this range, we're still bullish. So this bull flag is very much intact at this point. Like I said earlier, the measured move for a breakout to the upside here is 57 cents. What you want to see here, and depending on how you want to go about drawing this, is a breakout of this current downtrend. So if I draw this line, and I could draw it here, but I'm going to draw it here just for simplicity and just kind of as a learning lesson. So you could draw your lines either way. But for the bull flag, I'm looking for a breakout above this resistance level, which is why I've got the green line up there. You can see we've got a downtrend here, but consolidation and support holding. So this is now turning more from a bull flag into a bullish pennant, which is okay. If you see a breakout to the upside of this downtrend that we have going on here, and volume spikes with that, that is the type of movement that you would see a strong explosive move to the upside, and either a test of that 43 cent mark or a breakout and to move to the next resistance level, which is, again, the 57 cent mark. So these are the key levels that I'm watching here on Doge. If we do see a breakdown of this current range, I would look for a test of this support around the 28 cent mark, or if things got pretty crazy on a pullback, maybe that 22 cent mark. I think from my personal standpoint, my perspective of a lot of the pullback that you've seen this weekend is what I've warned about on some of my live streams, where people will take crypto paper losses heading into the end of the year to offset capital gains on other positions. That's why you typically will see a hard sell-off followed by a strong buy. There's not a wash sell rule with crypto, so people will sell off large chunks at a loss because they bought high, and then will sell it at a loss to take a paper loss, and then they'll either immediately rebuy the position, or they will, over the next couple of weeks, they'll rebuy the position gradually. So again, still bullish setup on Doge here. I'm gonna work my way down through the list of some of these cryptos just so that people have them. Again, this video is going to stay specific to some of the crypto realm. I'm not going to dive into stocks. I'll do a separate video on that. The Bitcoin. A lot of us have been watching this kind of bullish consolidation that's been going on here. So I'm going to delete this upper trend line, just same thing as what we had before. You can see that we're moving and forming here on the 4-hour chart higher lows. Okay, so that's good. And I'm moving this. This is yet another bull flag pole that we have going on here, and this is conservatively drawn. If you've been watching any of my other videos, I kind of talked through how I could have drawn this bull flag on a larger time frame. But if I zoom out here, let me show you what's going on right now with Bitcoin. So if you look at the weekly, this is a massive cup and handle setup on Bitcoin. That is a beautiful technical cup and handle setup on Bitcoin. You've got your cup here, you've got this handle formed here, and then we had this strong breakout candle here with increasing volume. So from a technical standpoint, this is probably, even compared to many of the stocks that I've traded this setup on, this is a beautiful cup and handle setup, as well as a bull flag breakout here with that same candle that broke out. So don't let this little slight retracement freak you out. Basically, if you've been in crypto, you shouldn't be fazed by this kind of movement. And honestly, I wouldn't be fazed even if we pulled back to the 72, 73K range. I don't expect that to happen unless we saw something crazy with causing significant sell-offs. What we're seeing here is bullish continuation at the moment. So what you can see is, for one, we had that initial breakout. And sorry, let me jump back over to that really quick. The measured move for this cup and handle is way higher than where we currently are. The measured move for just this bull flag breakout that we have here is around the 120K mark. So what I've been warning people of is watching for psychological sell-offs that occurs at that $100,000 level. Typically, psychological levels, $90,000, $80,000, $100,000, but specifically $100,000, because that's going to be the first time in history that we get to a six-figure rounded number on Bitcoin. You're likely going to see some selling off. And if you go look on actual crypto exchanges that is showing orders being set and placed there, you'll see that there's a large number of sellers sitting at the 100K mark. For me personally, some of you know that I trade crypto leverage futures short and long. So what I will probably do to sort of hedge my longer term crypto holding positions is I will watch for a rejection at the 100K mark, and when we hit it, I'm going to trade a leverage short position to the downside. I'm going to get in and out very quickly though, because if we can push over 100K, this thing's going to keep on ripping. So that being said, more immediate future, right? What I would be looking for here is yet another bull flag breakout. And if I wanted to watch some of the key levels from a technical standpoint, you can see that we've got some support in this range that's formed now. If I zoom in, you can see it a little bit better. But I'm going to draw a minor support here just because we haven't built out a historical support range here yet, just because it's so new in this all-time highs range. You can see also that we formed a bit of a resistance here. If I want to do it conservatively, I'm going to draw it right there. And if you look at the 4 hour, you're going to see this. Drag this up so that you can see it. So as of right now, what you have on Bitcoin is yet another bull flag setup going on here. I'm going to move this up just so that we're being more conservative about this. But again, just like I talked about a minute ago on Doge, what you want to see here is a breakout to the upside above the resistance levels in that zone with buying volume. See how the volume's tapered off a bit here, but the price point is staying relatively flat? That's good. That's not bad that volume has tapered off. If volume tapered off and the price movement and price action was moving significantly, I would be a bit more concerned. Right here is just your typical consolidation in the zone. And if you want a good example of what that can look like, if you look back here where we had multiple bull flags, consolidation, bull flag, consolidation, breakout, notice how we had these big peaks of buyers and then things kind of level off and it calms down, volume tapers down. And then as you push forward that big candle to get a breakout, volume spikes again. So we're looking for the same thing here. We're looking for this big move. This helped us sustain that movement to the upside. Volume started to taper off. We get into consolidation phase. And then here, if you start to see volume pick up as well as buying pushing up towards that resistance level there, we're probably going to push for a breakout here. Measured move of breakout on this bull flag is going to put you around that 110K mark. I'm typically really conservative, like I've mentioned on other videos, with how I draw my measured moves. If you're still learning, the way that you define a measured move of a bull flag breakout is typically the measurement of the flagpole itself, which is this green line here, is going to be the percentage. I like to stick with percentage movements instead of dollar sign movements. It just keeps things more simple. But typically that is your measured move, is going to be the height of your pole. As mentioned earlier, I'm typically really conservative when I draw the height of my pole, and there's multiple reasons for that, but one of the key benefits that comes out of it is that by drawing my pole height based off this shorter percentage here, the likelihood of me tagging this measured move is much more likely as compared to me drawing it based off of the larger distance, which would be 36% breakout, which would actually, looking at this, that coincides with similar breakout. Look, interesting how technicals work. That breakout of that bull flag would actually put it right around or above that 120K mark. So you've got multiple bullish setups that are all kind of coming into alignment together here. I'll be watching Bitcoin for an upside breakout. Talk through that quite a bit. So I'm going to look over at Ethereum real quick. And if you're wondering why I'm using Tether instead of US dollars for a lot of mine, for one, I'm very comfortable with crypto, but also most of your transactional volume with crypto takes place via Tether instead of USD. So a lot of these I'm using the Binance exchange as my exchange that the trading is taking place from, because Binance typically for most crypto is going to have the most overall volume taking place on its trading. So like I've been mentioning for several weeks now with Ethereum, it's lacking a bit compared to Bitcoin and some of the others. There's lots of reasons for this. From my personal opinion, I feel like it is due to Ethereum shifting from proof of work over to proof of stake. Ethereum got a lot of bullish momentum the last go around in 2020 and 2021 because it had the backing of all the GPU miners, and a lot of the mining rig setup people basically were mining Ethereum and other Ethereum based blockchain coins because that was what made sense. Bitcoin wasn't really profitable for most people to mine. So when Ethereum went proof of stake, you lost the backing of all those miners because they can no longer mine Ethereum. So a lot of the miners have shifted over to other altcoins and projects and things, but from my standpoint, a lot of the volume and transactional movement we got with Ethereum last go round, you aren't going to have that now because you don't have the miners trying to shift funds from one place to another and helping support it. Also, from an actual project standpoint, Ethereum sort of has just overall some pitfalls to some extent. They tried to fix some of the scalability factors, but ultimately the gas fees and overall transaction fees for Ethereum remain high. So for those that aren't familiar, Ethereum's kind of one of your core blockchains, and there's a lot of altcoins built upon the Ethereum blockchain or through forks. That being said, from a technical standpoint, you can see that Ethereum completed my measured move breakout here to the upside perfectly. So I was looking for a breakout of this downtrend and a move to that 33 34 level, which you can see it perfectly tagged that measured move and rejected. So technicals work, especially if you've been trading crypto for a long time like I have. You kind of get used to this type of movement. That being said, Ethereum I think will still get hype movement with other cryptos into next year, but you won't see me jumping or kind of pushing people towards Ethereum just because I personally feel there's a lot better projects that people could be pursuing right now. That being said, from a technical standpoint, again, you've got a bit of a bull flag forming here on Ethereum, so definitely worth keeping an eye on. You can see my key levels here. If you're on any of the Discords, I dropped the charts there as well so that you can kind of see without all the non-stop movement. You can see the levels and reference them. But that being said, feel free to take screenshots of this video or ask me for an updated chart on any of the platforms or here in the comments on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, either way. I'll be happy to provide an updated chart to you. But really these major levels of resistance, which are the solid yellow, those are tried and true levels from several years ago, as well as repeatable and clearly still respected. As you can see here, I didn't change that line. Right here, support held. These levels hold true. So feel free to reference these. Next one I'm going to look at here, we looked at Doge, we looked at Bitcoin, we looked at Ethereum. I'm going to jump over to Solana before I jump into some of the altcoins. So Sol, this is, again, I've told y'all this time and time again, if I was to recommend a project for growth and scalability and just overall great longer term hold from a larger crypto standpoint without being a true altcoin, this is going to be the one that I'm going to recommend to people into 2025. I was very lucky to reload in and jump in back in January of 2023, and I don't know that I've timed an entry on a crypto that has had a pullback any better than I did with Solana. So definitely loving the movement here. I'm up significantly on my percentage, or from a percentage standpoint, on my current position with Solana. That being said, I have no intentions of selling any of my Solana anytime soon. I will continue to ride it out into 2025 and beyond, because even right now, the measured move of this breakout is going to put us around that 250 mark. And just like you saw on Bitcoin a few minutes ago, this is a massive cup and handle setup that we have now broken out of to the upside. What ideally you would want to see to confirm this cup and handle breakout, aside from just the right side breakout, is a push above this previous high. So especially not just a little peak above, because I don't want to see us wick like we did right here. And for those of you that are still learning terminology, you can see that the wick is the line there on top of that candle, and the body of the candle itself is that thicker part. So you can see it wicked there on the weekly, and on the daily it sort of consolidated in that zone a bit before finally rejecting. But what I'm looking for here is momentum to build. So you can see it's actually still got strong volume pushing in. I think a lot of people are realizing that Solana is a great project overall. And then you've got quite a few altcoin projects that are spin-offs on the Solana blockchain that are very attractive to a lot of people that are venturing into crypto and waiting out alt season, which I could probably do a video all by itself on alt season and what that means with altcoins. For those of you that are familiar, from my standpoint, going through multiple halving cycles, multiple crypto bull runs now, alt season, we're not there yet, and that's a good thing. That means right now is the time to accumulate and buy altcoins and be ready for the bull run on alt season. Right now we're on the major phases for Bitcoin and some of the key projects, which is why you see this bullish momentum happening here. I'm not saying you're not seeing bullish movement on altcoins as well, because you've seen quite a bit of it. That being said, Bitcoin dominance overall right now is a bit high, and we haven't shifted to alt season yet. So typically, if I was to state this very oversimplified, what you have with these cycles is that you've got Bitcoin dominance, you get lots of money rushing into Bitcoin from stocks and exchanges and overall holdings. And then as people start to shift, that Bitcoin dominance will drop. You'll see outflows come out of Bitcoin and other places that rolls into altcoins. So we'll start to see that probably in the coming weeks. I'd say more probably months, potentially even into 2025. For me right now, I'm looking to add 2 positions for longer term entry. I'm eyeing several altcoin projects right now for fresh entry. But there's many existing altcoins that have been getting a lot of hype and momentum right now. Technically, Shiba Inu and Dogecoin are both altcoins. So Doge is on the Bitcoin blockchain, Shiba Inu is over on the Ethereum blockchain. So both of those are getting a good support and push right now. A lot of that movement, though, is coming from the fact that Elon was appointed to the Department of Government Efficiencies as the lead, and y'all know his Doge hype. So that's where some of that's coming from. I'm watching, though, Solana here for this breakout. That cup and handle setup that it has on a weekly, the breakout for that's going to be absurd. So Solana actually has the technicals as well as the project potential and a utility potential to be a huge grower from here as compared to many other crypto projects you're going to see into 2025. So purely from a technical standpoint, this cup and handled measured move, the depth of the cup, and you can see I'm drawing that conservatively. Your cup and handle measured move is the depth of your cup typically, and I like to draw my stuff again on a conservative standpoint, so I'm going to the shorter side here. You can still 850% increase is what we're talking about from this breakout. So to show you and to put that in perspective, let me draw this real quick so that you can actually see what this is. And before people start to think it's crazy or it's absurd, yes, the market cap factor is something that I would want to take into consideration. So I need to run the math and see what the market cap implication would be of Solana growing to that scale. But that being said, I'm somebody that's been in Ethereum and Bitcoin since it was under, like Bitcoin was less than $5,000 when I got in, and people thought we were crazy for saying Bitcoin was going to grow to the scale it did. Ultimately, if you're adding value and you have a project that makes sense from a scalability standpoint, the sky's the limit. But really, for me, the key factor with a lot of these is going to be more so what's the market cap, because if market caps are absurd, for instance, you hear people saying Shiba Inu going to $1 or $5 per coin, that's not really realistic when you really put in perspective what the market cap would be for that crypto to be at that size. That being said, Sol here, if you look, what we say, 850% off the breakout level, and I'm going to do this conservatively again, so I'm going to put off this breakout down low. So to give you perspective, right, I just drew that, and we're at, like I can't even scale out far enough right here without like having to do this, so even if we only saw 700% gains on Solana at this point, you're talking about $1,600 is 700% gain. So from a technical standpoint, that would be less than the measured move that we have in play. But look at that. Look at the growth potential for Solana. So while that is 700% gains if you're in Solana project itself, and before someone thinks that's crazy, my current Solana position is up. Where is it? Let me find it real quick. Just to show you perspective, I'm currently up 1,675% on my Solana position. So yeah, I'm in way low, and I'm not selling anytime soon, to kind of give you context on how bullish I am on Solana into next year. So this is not crazy and far-fetched and out of reach, but while 1,600% gains or like 2,000 or 3,000% gains here, I wouldn't say they're necessarily feasible. Where they are feasible is on a lot of the altcoin projects that start to get built on some of these exchanges or some of these blockchains like Solana. So I haven't done a lot of investigation into some of these, but I'm going to be alerting and talking about them a bit more in the coming weeks as we get closer to alt season. But I'm going to be throwing, $200 to $500 in a few random crypto altcoin projects on the Solana blockchain that, based off looking at the white paper, understanding the tokenomics, the utility of those projects, I want to park some money there to see what happens. And do take into account that what I'm saying in no way is that you should go buy a bunch of random altcoins or meme coins, because that's how people lose money. There are pump and dump schemes out there with a lot of crypto projects, especially in the altcoin realm, and I think that's where a lot of bad reputation comes from. But if you're looking at the white paper, if you're understanding the project that you're investing in, if you're really doing your due diligence properly before investing your money, there's nothing wrong with taking and putting a little bit of money in some of those altcoins, because that is where you will get those massive percentage gains like I've experienced on some of the other altcoin projects in the last bull run once we shifted over to alt season. So Stay tuned. I'll be talking through some of those a bit more as we get closer to that point, but I wanted to talk through some of these key cryptos that we are actively trading at the moment, just so that you knew the levels in the chart setup. So this video is turning out to be a little bit longer than I expected, but hopefully it's adding value and it's going to be beneficial to you. So I will continue to go through just simply charts on a few others now that I've talked through some of the key things to look at. But Polygon is another one, or MATIC. I'm going to type it like this so that I can look at it on the proper exchange that I have listed. So this is another one that we entered the setup based off of the breakout of the downtrend. Polygon or MATIC is one that right now is sort of just kind of teetering, and it did hit our first measured move price target at this point based off the entry that we tagged, and was like 40% gains. That being said, MATIC is one that is going to run hard with alt season because you've got all the altcoins that really are going to rely on MATIC and Polygon to shift from exchange to exchange. So this is more of a long-term great entry if you're looking at MATIC and some of the others. Another good way to kind of gauge things out is stellar lumens. So if you're kind of new to crypto as a whole, and I don't know that I have this charted because I'm not looking at it from a pure charting standpoint, and I'll explain why. If you're new to crypto, if you try to transfer money from exchange to exchange with something, or like wallet to wallet with something like Ethereum, the gas fees or the transaction fees are insane, and you're going to give up a big portion of your money. If you want to transfer from exchange to exchange, or from one wallet to another exchange, a great way to do that is using Stellar Lumen or XLM. The transaction fees are stupid cheap, and it's very fast. So within a couple of minutes, your money's there, and the transaction fees are cents, regardless of how much money you're trying to send, or Stellar Lumens you're trying to send. So what I typically do to kick money off of, say, Robinhood, if I want to take some of my gains and roll those into crypto elsewhere, because I usually will pull gains from stocks and options off of Robinhood through crypto, and I'll transfer it elsewhere rather than trying to mess with pulling it off into a bank account. Normally I will buy XLM and I will transfer that out to an exchange wallet. I'll buy the crypto I want, or I'll trade my XLM for USDT and I'll trade futures with it. If I'm buying crypto for cold storage holding, I'll transfer the XLM over there, I'll swap it for USDT, and then I will buy whatever crypto I want and transfer that over to my cold storage wallet. But I say all that because whenever I start to see these big peaky moves go on with XLM, it's because you've got people like me, especially some of the people that are much larger scale than I am, because I'm small fish in the pond, is they're buying XLM and they're doing the same thing I just described. They're using that to shift funds from one place to another without incurring the huge transactional fees that come with trying to sell or move Bitcoin or Ethereum or some of those other things. Plus, some of the others move slower from wallet to wallet. So that's what, when I see these big peaky volumes, it's not because XLM itself is just, hyping and getting a lot of movement. The project is great and all. It's got a lot of utility and function, but really that's where a lot of its value and movement comes from. So again, not watching this from a technical standpoint because I'm not buying and selling XLM, but instead I use it to move from exchange to exchange. So we talked through Bitcoin, we glanced at Ethereum, looked at Solana, we talked XLM. I just realized I'm literally going through these in the order in which they are in the largest holding percentage of my online portfolio of crypto. Interesting. Didn't realize I was doing that, so apologies. But either way. So SHIB is the next one I'm going to look at. So same thing is similar to what we saw on Doge earlier. And again, you're getting hype on Shiba Inu because of Doge and some of the other movement going on right now. That and people like to own a lot of something, right? So Shiba Inu, you can see we still have 4 zeros in place on SHIB, so that's good. This is early on. The kind of drawback here is it's on the Ethereum ecosystem. That being said, it's a little bit cleaner and better because it's sort of forked off. It's a little bit cheaper and easier to move it from one place to another as compared to some of the others, but you still incur Ethereum gas fees. So SHIB is still doing good here. You can see from a technical standpoint, if we can break out of this bull flag to the upside, we can move up into this range. The immediate resistance levels here are 2683 and 32, and I'm kind of, as you can see, I'm jumping past the 4 zeros, right? Because I can't even off the top of my head, haven't had enough coffee today. Can't even think of what that specifically interprets to. But having said, SHIB has got a lot of breakout setup that it can do here. That's also a bit of a cup and handle, almost more like a rounded bottom setup that we have going on here. And I know that that can be confusing if you're not new to, or if you're new to technical patterns. They can seem like they're almost identical, but this is more of a rounded bottom setup, as well as this. Normally when you have a cup and handle, your handle doesn't go all the way down to the support range this low. That being said, this could be considered a basically rounded bottom, or also a double bottom here, coming off the same support level with that bounce. It'll be interesting to see, especially as alt season kicks into play, if SHIB can make a rip up to these previous all-time highs. I'm not chasing all-time highs on a lot of these things that have already ripped up that high. Just going ahead and calling that out, clarifying that for people. I'm not saying they won't hit that, but if you're expecting like 2,000% gains on some of these aren't the ones that these bigger cryptos that really are already like on Robinhood and others. That's probably not where you're going to see that. I don't know that I've even charted Pepe, but I'll chart, or I'll use that as an example here in a second to talk through that a bit more after I go through these others. Another project I want to touch on that a lot of people probably maybe aren't actively trading because it isn't available on a lot of exchanges due to its SEC securities implications over the last couple of years is XRP. So those that aren't familiar with XRP, I guess I could do a separate video talking through the utility, use case, and functionality, but from a payment processing standpoint, I think XRP one day is going to kind of supersede a lot of what you see done through different types of card transactions, because XRP's approach to it is so much more efficient, scalable, and really I think that the fear that came into play for what that means for some of the card companies and banks in the US is why the SEC flagged them and tried to put so much stress on them. I know this is a recorded video, but also I told some of the guys in the Discord I was about to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and take a couple of these chart requests as I'm going through it and let them know that Moorhead, you're getting a shout out in the video since I'm doing this real quick. Let's see. See which charts he's wanting to see. If it's crypto, I'll pull it up in here and talk through it. If it's stocks, I'll do a separate video. But yeah, XRP, you can see these are my levels of support and resistance. I still have some XRP I bought years ago. I'm loving seeing this huge, massive move that we just had. What was that? Wow, it's still a 76% candle at this point. I love seeing that. That's huge. Wow, that single candle at one point moved 116%. I wonder what my holdings look like on XRP. XRP, honestly, is one I haven't actively monitored my holdings on it just because everything that happened with it with the SEC. Hey, I'm up 537% again. Nice. So I will ride that out. I'm curious to see if it holds that psychological level of $1. But yeah, we'll see what happens with XRP. I think that this has a lot of promising growth over the coming years. So don't get too hung up about buying the low or buying the high type thing on some of these. Some of these, well, you might pass this level and never come back to it again. So if you're holding long term, I wouldn't stress too much about getting the exact entry. If anything, you can buy at some of these support levels, especially if on the daily you see that we kind of pull back and we retrace and we tap a support and bounce. That'd be a good entry spot. Let's see. It looks like some questions are coming over on the lounge of my Discord, but I'll circle back to those separately. I'm going to finish up this video on crypto stuff for y'all just so that y'all have it. But let's speed things up a bit just to kind of get through these. There's a few of these that I have alerted over there recently that we're up nicely on, but that doesn't mean you're too late to get in. So AVAX is another good one that should see a lot of promising growth this year as we break out. You can see that these are the resistance levels that we have in play here, as well as the support levels. So for the sake of time in the video, and just so you don't have to bear through it, I'm going to just kind of show that. You see if it's above where we currently are, consider it resistance levels. If it's below where we currently are, consider it support level. You can see the legend for specifically what the lines mean in the description of the video. So Avalanche, that's kind of the setup we've got going on there. Atom is another one. Cosmos that we are in. type would be good. So you can see here we got a beautiful entry, and look how perfect these technicals play out, guys. Like I'm telling you, like it's in me tooting my own horn, but I've gotten very comfortable with crypto and charting crypto over the years, and you can see that the accuracy is spot on. So again, what I would like to see here, we've completed this measured move, made that move perfectly. We were up nicely on that entry. If somebody wanted to trim there, that's great. They locked significant gains when they did that. It looks like the percentage gains of that entry gave them at least 45% gains or so. That being said, I'm long. From a technical standpoint here, I would also love to see sort of a... Oops, we didn't click the right spot. Try that again. From a technical standpoint here, I wouldn't mind seeing a retest of this downtrend that we just broke out of. On the weekly, which it looks like that's exactly what we did. Wow, that's beautiful from a technical standpoint. So if you're trying to learn, you can see here we broke out of that downtrend that we've been in since the highs, and that's a conservative line drawn there. So we broke out, we rejected after the breakout here at this resistance level, and we pulled back to that support, which also had confluence with that downtrend line. And look how you got a big spike in volume here, as well as a big green candle that came off of that. So this right here is I'm actually, I think, going to go add to my add-in position, even though that means averaging up here, because from a technical standpoint, we are just starting this breakout. This thing's probably going to move up to that $13 range at some point in the coming weeks. You can see historically, once we get past this zone, which we had a big breakout here, retrace back to the same range we're in. But once you do break out of that range, it rockets. So 2021, that was a good example of that huge breakout that we had. I'll be watching those levels for rejection or support along the way. Let me see. We covered Cosmos. We didn't look at Link yet, and I know several guys have been asking about Link, so I'm going to make sure I cover it. So we have fresh charts and levels for it. So Chainlink, another one, right? Notice how similar a lot of these bullish setups are right now, where you got cup and handle. Actually more of a rounded bottom here, I guess you could say, but more importantly, a breakout of the downtrend, right? So watching that breakout of the downtrend, what we want to see here is increasing volume and upside movement and momentum. Or even if we pull back, like I showed you on that chart earlier, if we get a little bit of drop on volume, but we're holding the zone, that's okay. That's consolidation within that bull flag setup. So this is yet another bull flag that you can see here. If I was to draw this conservatively, I'm going to draw it here. And if you're trying to figure out how I'm drawing it, watch some of my videos and you'll start to get the hang of why I draw stuff the way I do. But I can see that this held as a support, right? And you can see that there's a bit of support there. Also, if I zoom out, I bet you can see, oh, how about that? If you do it long enough, you kind of start to see things play out. But you can see this was previously a resistance level here that we rejected at, and just happened to also be resistance turn support there, which is beautiful from a technical standpoint. So if we can push up and break out here, I'm looking for a bull flag move to the upside. Ideally, we see a candle push and close above this range here, and again, with buying volume and momentum pushed to the upside to confirm it. What it looks like we might be forming here too is a bit of an inverse head and shoulder, with the shoulder here, head here, and potentially another shoulder here. So if we see a bounce and a move to the upside here, I'm going to show you how to measure these. So from a head and shoulders or inverse head and shoulders setup, it's the depth of the head to the neckline. And I'm usually conservative, but this is a pretty flat one. So 15% move is what the measured move would be if this breakout proceeds to the upside. 15% puts us around there, right? But what I do is conservative, right? So I know there's a resistance here. I'm going to put my measured move for that inverse head and shoulder setup right here at that resistance level. So if someone is trading this as like entering and exiting and entering and exiting, that's probably a good place to at least minimally trim your position. So that's the measured move for the inverse head and shoulder setup. And here I can actually chart that for you so that you can actually see it a bit better. And I could draw the neckline here if I want to, but I'm going to draw it here just for conservative sake. And you'll see what I'm talking about. Make it green because I like to do my inverse head and shoulders green, and actual bearish head and shoulders I do red. So see here that that's the measured move for that inverse head and shoulders pattern that we have there. That being said, there's also a bull flag here, and like I said earlier, the measured move for the bull flag is going to be the height of the flagpole. And you can see I grabbed it basically after that first big green candle, where I could technically grab this further down, but the measured move of this bull flag is minimally going to be like 28%. If I measured it all the way from the bottom here, actually it was a little bit lower, but you can see, let's say 28 to 40%, give or take, right? So again, same thing here. A breakout of this bull flag to the upside would be a candle close above this resistance level. So you see here we wicked above it, but we didn't close above it. What I ideally would like to see for confirmation of this breakout would be a push above that resistance level. But measured move of this bull flag breakout, what would we say, 28 to 40%? So conservatively, somewhere like this resistance level here at 1932 is a good target for trimming or that position or setup. So a little bit of a technical training opportunity there with Link, and again, I apologize, this video is turning out to be quite a bit longer than I expected, but hopefully it adds a lot of value and explains quite a few things going through kind of crypto and logic and various different aspects from a technical standpoint that applies not just to crypto itself but also to charting of stocks. So real quick, I think this is going to be the last one I'm going to cover on this video, but I'm going to look at Pepe real quick because it got added to, let's see, I haven't charted it yet. Cool. So this will be a good opportunity to kind of show you how to go about charting something from the basic standpoint. Actually, I tell you what, I'm going to close out this video and I'll leave this one as it is. And then I'm going to do Pepe charting and going through the technicals on a separate video so that it can actually be used as an example to show people how to draw technicals. So on that note, if you've hung in with me all this time, or even if you jumped to the end, I appreciate your time. Hopefully you found this helpful and useful. And stay tuned for more videos and topics from ethical trading.